Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're venturing into a really compact, but wow, powerful piece of prophetic writing, the Book of Malachi from the King James Bible.
Exactly. Yeah, it's not like the long histories or the wisdom books. Malachi is direct, it's pointed, it's aimed right at the people of Israel, and he doesn't pull any punches with the priests either.
Right. So our mission today is really to dig into what Malachi is getting at. What are the core problems here? And maybe what can these ancient concerns still tell us today? Okay, let's unpack this. Right at the start, chapter 1, verse 2, we get this big declaration. I have loved you, saith the Lord.
We do. But what's striking, isn't it, is the immediate reply from the people. It's just, wherein hast thou loved us? Straight back at him. It shows this real disconnect, this questioning.
Yeah, it's almost, I mean, is it skepticism? Or maybe, like you hinted, maybe it's more like, we're struggling here, God. Show us how this is love.
That's a really interesting way to put it. It could be a genuine plea, help us understand this love in our difficult reality. And God's answer immediately goes to Jacob and Esau.
Jacob, who becomes Israel, loved. Esau, the ancestor of Edom. Well, the text says hated. Strong word.
Very strong. And it's not just ancient history. Malachi stresses the ongoing situation. Edom tries to rebuild. God says, nope, I will throw down. They get these labels like the border of wickedness.
And the people against whom the Lord have indignation forever. It sounds permanent. Does that just describe the historical conflict, or is there maybe a symbolic meaning to about, opposing God's plans?
It certainly suggests a deep, lasting division. But then, the focus really narrows. It shifts sharply onto the priests. God asks them, basically, if I'm a father, where's my honor? If I'm a master, where's the respect, the fear?
And true to form, it seems, the priests come back with their question. Wherein have we despised thy name? It's this pattern again, isn't it? God accuses, they question or deny.
It really underscores a communication breakdown, yeah. But what's telling is that God doesn't just leave it general. He gets specific.
Oh, absolutely. Polluted bread on the altar. Offering animals that are blind or lame or sick. I mean, it's almost like he's saying, really, this is the best you can do.
Exactly. It speaks volumes about how maybe their sense of the sacred, the holy, had just eroded over time. And then that rhetorical question.
Right. Offer it now unto thy governor. Will he be pleased with thee or accept thy person?
Such a powerful point. Like, you wouldn't dare treat a human ruler this way, so why treat the Almighty with such contempt? It's not just about the animal's flaws, it's about the attitude, this sort of cost-cutting approach to devotion.
A kind of spiritual minimum effort. And the result, God says point blank, I have no pleasure in you, and neither will I accept an offering at your hand.
Yeah. But then, interestingly, the view widens out again. There's this prophecy that God's name will be great, but among the Gentiles, the non-Israelites, and their offerings will be pure.
That's a huge statement, isn't it? Suggests a future where true worship isn't confined just to Israel, especially when Israel's own priests aren't upholding it.
It really hints at this future universal reach of genuine worship. And it's such a stark contrast to the attitude of the current priests described in the text.
Yeah.
They're just weary,
Yeah.
disdainful.
He even quotes them, behold, what a weariness is it, and they were snuffing at it. You can almost picture them rolling their eyes at the altar.
That phrase, snuffing at it,
Yeah.
it really captures that lack of reverence, doesn't it? And then there's that specific curse aimed at the deceiver, the one who has a perfectly good male animal in his flock.
But chooses to sacrifice the flawed one anyway.
Exactly. It's the deliberate choice, the lack of sincerity, which leads us straight into chapter 2 and the direct consequences spelled out for these priests.
Yeah, it starts with a command, give glory unto my name. And the warning is immediate.
It is. If they don't take it to heart, God says, I will even send a curse upon you, and I will curse your blessings. Even their blessings will turn sour.
Wow. And the imagery gets pretty graphic after that. Corrupting their seeds, spreading dung on their faces during feasts. It feels deliberately degrading.
It's meant to be shocking, I think. A direct consequence for failing to uphold their side of the deal, the covenant with Levi. Remember, the Levites weren't just any tribe. They were set apart for priestly duties, for maintaining that connection between God and the people.
So their failure wasn't just personal, it impacted the whole system. The text then reminds them what that original covenant was about. Life, peace, based on reverence and awe.
And their job description, essentially. Preserve knowledge, teach the law accurately.
But clearly that's not what's happening. Malachi says they've departed out of the way, they've caused people to stumble, they've corrupted the covenant of Levi.
It shows how individual failings, especially by leaders, can have these ripple effects, damaging the whole community's spiritual health.
And the direct outcome. The text says they've become contemptible and base before all the people. Their bias in applying the law just wrecked their credibility.
Which flows right into the next section, broadening out again to talk about wider social problems, particularly treachery. It starts with that question. Have we not all one Father? Hath not one God created us? Why do we deal treacherously every man against his brother?
And one key example of this treachery mentioned is marrying foreign women, the daughter of a strange god. It's framed as profaning God's holiness, something he loves.
Right. It's about maintaining the community's distinct identity and covenant relationship. And the consequence threatened is severe, being cut off from the community, from the tabernacles of Jacob.
But it's not just that one issue. You get this sense of deep emotional pain. The altar is covered with tears, weeping, crying out, but still, God isn't regarding their offerings.
And then it zeroes in on another specific betrayal, dealing treacherously against the wife of thy youth, a really strong condemnation of breaking marriage vows.
Especially divorce. Malachi gets very specific about putting away.
Yes, and there's a fascinating theological reason given. God made them one, implying the marital union with a residue of the Spirit. Why? To seek godly seed, godly offspring. So, faithfulness in marriage is tied to the spiritual health of the next generation.
And then that incredibly direct statement. For the Lord, the God of Israel, saith that he hateth putting away. He links divorce directly to covering violence with one's garment. It's unambiguous.
Absolutely. All this decay, this treachery, it naturally leads the people to start questioning God's justice itself. They say they've wearied the Lord with their words.
And when God asks how, they say it's by claiming that everyone that doeth evil is good in the sight of the Lord, and he delighteth in them. Or by asking that cynical question,
where is the God of judgment? Yeah, you can feel the disillusionment, the bitterness there.
Which becomes the perfect setup for the next big message, the promise of a messenger coming to prepare the way.
Exactly. It shifts from diagnosis and condemnation towards, well, a promised intervention. Behold, I will send my messenger, and he shall prepare the way before me.
And then the Lord himself will come suddenly to his temple. But it's not necessarily going to be comfortable, is it? His arrival is compared to, what was it, refiner's fire.
Refiner's fire and fuller's soap. Things that purify, but intensely. Like burning away impurities or scrubbing out deep stains. It implies a process that might be harsh, but is ultimately cleansing.
And the purpose. To purify the priests, the sons of Levi, so they can finally offer offerings in righteousness again. It's about restoration.
Yes, a return to genuine, acceptable worship. And after that purification, the offerings of Judah and Jerusalem will be pleasant to the Lord again, like in the old days. But there's also a promise of judgment alongside the purification.
Right. Swift judgment against sorcerers, adulterers, false swearers.
And those who oppress workers, widows, the fatherless, or who deny justice to foreigners. Basically, a whole list of social and moral failures, and crucially, those who fear not me, saith the Lord of hosts.
It's comprehensive. But then amidst all that, you get this foundational statement in chapter 3, verse 6.
Ah, yes, for I am the Lord, I change not. Therefore ye sons of Jacob are not consumed. It's such a crucial anchor point. Despite everything, God's fundamental nature is constant, and that's their ultimate hope.
That unchanging nature is contrasted with their history, though. Even from the days of your fathers ye are gone away from mine ordinances.
But the call is still there. Return unto me, and I will return unto you. It's an open invitation.
And yet again, that question comes back. Wherein shall we return? It really shows how blind they seem to be to their own state, doesn't it?
It does. And God's answer this time is maybe the most famous part of Malachi. Will a man rob God? Yet ye have robbed me in tithes and offerings.
He frames it as robbery, not just neglecting, but actively taking something that belongs to God. And he says the whole nation is under a curse because of it.
The solution proposed is direct. Bring ye all the tithes into the storehouse, that there may be meat in my house. Provide properly for the temple and its workers. And then comes that amazing challenge.
Yeah, this is incredible. Prove me now herewith, saith the Lord of hosts, if I will not open you the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing, that there shall not be room enough to receive it. He's basically saying, test me on this. See what happens when you're faithful.
It's a stunning invitation to trust and obedience, with a promise of overwhelming provision. He even says he'll protect their crops, rebuke the devourer. The result, all nations will call them blessed.
You'd think that would settle things, but no, the cycle continues. God says, your words have been stout against me.
And again, the denial. What have we spoken so much against thee?
Their complaint, according to the text, is that it seems pointless to serve God. They see the proud being called happy, evildoers prospering, even those who tempt God getting away with it.
It's that age-old problem of evil, isn't it? Why do bad things happen to good people, and why do the wicked seem to flourish? They're looking around and feeling like faithfulness doesn't pay off.
But then Malachi pivots beautifully to those who did fear the Lord. It says, they spake often one to another, they encouraged each other.
And crucially, the Lord hearkened and heard it. And this wonderful image, a book of remembrance was written before him for them that feared the Lord and that thought upon his name.
Like God is keeping a special record of the faithful ones, even when they're a minority, even when things look bleak.
Exactly. They're promised to be his special treasure, his jewels, on the day he acts. He'll spare them like a father spares a son who serves him.
And that future day will bring clarity. Then shall ye return and discern between the righteous and the wicked, between him that serveth God and him that serveth him not. The confusion they feel now will be resolved.
Which leads perfectly into the final chapter, chapter 4, describing that coming day. It shall burn as an oven.
A day of judgment for the proud, the wicked, they'll be like stubble, completely consumed, no root, no branch left.
But for those who fear God's name, the promise is completely different. Unto you that fear my name shall the Son of Righteousness arise with healing in his wings. What an image.
It really is light, healing, restoration instead of burning. They'll go forth and grow up as calves of the stall, full of life and energy.
And they will tread down the wicked, who will be like ashes under their feet. But then there's a crucial instruction.
Remember ye the law of Moses, my servant. Go back to the foundation.
Yes, remember the commandments given at Horeb. It's a callback to basics, to the established covenant, and then the very final verses.
The promise of Elijah the prophet, coming before the great and dreadful day of the Lord.
And his specific mission is reconciliation. He shall turn the heart of the fathers to the children, and the heart of the children to their fathers.
Why? Lest I come and smite the earth with a curse. So this relational healing, this turning of hearts, is presented as utterly vital to avert final disaster. It's quite a powerful and maybe slightly ominous final note.
It really is. It leaves you thinking about the importance of reconciliation.
So wrapping up this deep dive into Malachi, wow, we've seen God's love declared but also questioned. We've seen sharp critiques of the priests, their apathy, their corner cutting.
And the wider social betrayals too, breaking faith with each other, with marriage vows, that whole cycle of God challenging them and them asking how or denying it, that communication breakdown.
Definitely. But alongside all the tough words, there are these threads of hope, right? Promises of purification, restoration, that unchanging nature of God.
Absolutely. The promise of future judgment, yes, but also future blessing for those who return and remain faithful. That call to test God through tithing, the promise of the Son of Righteousness.
And that final emphasis on remembering the law and the coming of Elijah to reconcile. It leaves you with this mix of responsibility and anticipation.
Which brings us to the takeaway for you listening. These themes from over 2,000 years ago, faithfulness, hypocrisy, social justice, the struggle to trust when things look unfair, the importance of genuine worship versus just going through the motions.
How do these ancient debates resonate with the questions we face today? About our own integrity, our responsibilities to each other, and maybe our relationship with the divine, however we understand that.
Yeah, how do we keep faith? How do we act justly when the world around us seems complicated?
Something definitely worth thinking about. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We'll catch you on the next one.